Today I'm gonna build the ultimate pirate's headquarters, complete with a dock, skulls, a boat, and lots of rum. Pirates have been a staple for brick builders for many years, however LEGO in their sets often neglect a lot of elements to make their products feel a little bit more appropriate for kids. But with franchises like Pirates of the Caribbean, where in both the movie and family-friendly theme park ride, they mention a pirate's love for rum pretty regularly and create an environment for the pirates to all meet up and hang out. This concept isn't something LEGO has really ever done, only ever making fortresses, various ships, and some beaches. So instead, I turned to fantasy in order to create my headquarters that I want to house Jack Sparrow and a bunch of his fellow pirates. They sent me their new pirate tavern, which incorporates some of the most notable pirate imagery and elements into one giant model that only costs $150. The set is built up on plates that total a size of a 32 by 32 base plate, giving it a very modular and Ninjago City Gardens type of feel. The set contains 2,858 pieces and comes complete with a couple of their brand new style figures, and the whole thing took me a few hours to complete. I did struggle a little though in some sections, as I often got the shades of brown mixed up in the instructions, but the printed numbers describing the length of each plate were a major help. Like all of the other fantasy sets I've tried, the pieces snap together really easily, and in the case of this printed sign, were already assembled in the bag. And the only real issue I had in this building process was when it came to this giant bottle of rum. I found myself having to modify the bottleneck slightly in order to assemble things because the pieces just would not snap together. And as cool as these transparent parts are, I think the molding must have just been slightly off, causing some issues when connecting the bricks. This set, especially with the mast at the top, is incredibly tall, standing over 58 centimeters high. And even though the build is very dense and the base is built up of 4 parts, I can pick this up really easily and I don't necessarily have a fear of things breaking. One of my favorite things about this model is the entire design kind of looking like a little bit of a shipwreck, with the front half of the boat being the main bar portion and the back half housing a giant dinner table. The set is divided into multiple sections, with each being its own individual room, and it is still easy to access it even when the build is complete in one piece. There are a bunch of little panels on the sides that can be opened up in order for you to actually take a look inside without having to rip off the tops. The variety of different spaces in this build make this set the ultimate base for my pirates, as it allows for several spaces for the figures. Starting off at the bottom, we have the main tavern portion, which can be accessed through a panel on the side or by removing the other rooms on top. It feels very reminiscent of Tortuga and old rundown bars and taverns, which I think works perfectly for a pirate base. There are a couple of tables and chairs that you can have the figures sit down on by swapping their legs over from the classic straight ones to these sat down legs that are also included in the set. The inside of this room also features a couple of printed tiles on the wall, some bottles of rum, barrels, and a variety of plates of food. Out the front, you'll find that there are 2 separate docks. The first sticks out of a skull-shaped cave that reminds me a lot of the Skull Island from Peter Pan. I'm a really big fan of the way that this skull build looks. It is absolutely fantastic and is built in so nicely to the set. I also think it's a lot better than the other major skull that we have in this set, which is mounted above the tavern's entrance. For this one, I think the use of croissants for the eyes was really clever, however, it just does not have anywhere near the same amount of detail. When we move up a floor, you'll find the main kitchen that will serve all of the pirates, though it does feel a little small just given how large the building is. There's just enough space and utensils, however, and it slots in really easily, allowing for the other rooms to sit on top. On the other hand though, we have one of the coolest sections in my eyes, and what I think will be the most popular amongst my crew of pirates, and that is the pirate bar. I really love the way that this bar is built into the design of the front of a ship. The shelves and bar work themselves into the walls of the ship and still leave enough space to fit a bartender behind. There's some really nice decorations and there is just enough space for a handful of figures. But sitting right on top of the bar is the large transparent bottle of rum with liquid bubbling out the top and flowing down. Like I mentioned, this build's pieces do not fit together really easily, which is the major complaint that I have with this set, but otherwise I think the rum bottle is designed really nicely, and I absolutely love the stickered label on the front, even if it does cross over 2 pieces. The bottle attaches itself to the roof at an angle and acts like a beacon to call Jack Sparrow and all of the other pirates to meet. And last but certainly not least is the very top floor, which is home to a bedroom and a rooftop bar. Similarly to the pirate bar, this entire section is built to represent the back of a ship, making the bedroom double as what is typically a captain's quarters. Like the bottom, there is a panel that can open up and expose the inside of this room, where you will find a bed, a small desk, and at the very back, there is a tiny little balcony. The top deck is decorated with a variety of pearl gold pieces and a large dining table that is made up of some printed wooden plank pieces. Space is a little tight up here, however, I would have really loved to have seen some resemblance of chairs or seating in any form, as without, my pirates are gonna have to treat this section as a little bit more like a walk-up buffet than a dining or meeting table. At the end of the table, you'll find our mast, which is complete with this plastic sail, which I'm really not a fan of this type of material. I would have loved to have seen a proper fabric sail, and I feel like it would have been easier to assemble too, as you cannot get this piece on top of those little notches holding it in. Just above it, you'll find a crow's nest, and then of course the entire thing is topped off with a classic pirate flag. Now with the separate rooms all done, I'm left with 4 individual sections that I stacked together in order to complete the build and finish my ultimate pirate base. This model is incredibly detailed and incredibly tall, and when I put it up next to the Black Pearl as well, I feel like you can get a real sense of scale for what Fantasy has done here. I absolutely love the neutral color scheme, and outside of a few issues when building, I feel like this set is really sick. Now with the set all complete, it's time to call together a group that I like to call the Avengers. Terrible name, I know. First up, we have our leader, Captain Jack Sparrow, his first mate, Joshua Gibbs, Will Turner, Elizabeth Swan, and of course Barbossa. And they're joined here by the Jolly Rogers, Captain Hook, Mr. Smee, and of course Peter Pan. I also added a couple of minifigures from what I'm calling the Barracuda crew, which consists of a handful of classic pirates. But that's not all, as the Flying Dutchman crew decided they want to crash the party, led by none other than Davy Jones himself. I love how full of life this set is now that it's filled with a bunch of different figures, as it completes the display super nicely and really gives the feeling of a loud and rowdy pirate tavern. If you want to check out this set for yourself, I'll leave a link in the description down below to the Amazon listing, and thank you so much again to Fantasy for sponsoring this video and sending me this set to test out. If you guys enjoyed, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel down below, and until next time, I'll see you later.